Welcome in, everybody. It's going to be a pretty short day today, actually. All we have to do is just pretty much finish up some stuff on HTML. So yeah, we're at the end of week 4. We finished lesson 9 a couple days ago and got about halfway through the lab. So, typically lab time is actually meant to be outside of lecture, but with all this free time, we're going to have the time to go through the rest of this lab. Additionally, we'll go over some hints for this next assignment too. HTML weather. Okay, let's jump into this HTML stuff. So I'm going to open up the lab. This is where we left off at. Hopefully folks try to do it at home. See, lab number 9. Yeah, hopefully folks try to get the rest of this done. A couple days ago, we went over this part right here, bold. Went over italic, and then heading. We left off here on number 4 in part 1, unordered list. Okay, so let's go through it. Once again, if you're on the recording, please try it out yourself. This way you can practice the problem solving, because you might run into some errors, you might run into unexpected output. So it's a good idea to practice solving these things. Okay, so this one asks us to write an HTML code that produces these 3 unordered list items. Okay, I'm going to store it into a string called my HTML. All right, so I'm going to store it in a string. I want to make it a multi-line, just to make things more clear. All right. And once again, HTML is a website language, and we're just happening to use Python to render it. Okay, so we're kind of doing a combo of 2 things. This one, we need to use an unordered list. So if folks aren't sure how to do that, I think we did this a couple days ago. So here's a lesson. Towards the middle, towards the bottom, I think. Yeah, towards the bottom, we went over lists, how to make ordered lists with numbers, and how to make unordered lists, which takes bullets. Okay, so I'm going to use the unordered list, which takes bullets. And yeah, you might have seen this a couple days ago. The tags we want to use is OL. Right, OL stands for, UL, which stands for unordered list. Okay, there we go. So there's the tag. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and set up this display function real quick. So my HTML is a string. I need to convert that to an HTML object. We'll talk about objects towards the later end of the semester. It's actually the last lesson, classes and objects. So the vocabulary will make a little more sense by then. Okay, so HTML with that, and then I'm going to throw this object into a display function. And just to make sure, just to catch early typos, right? You don't want to typo too early. So, okay, look, it looks like I got a typo. Or not a typo, I got a name error. Name HTML is not defined. This is probably because I didn't run the first line in the top of the notebook. So I did run it like 2 days ago, right over here. I did run this 2 days ago, but when we refresh the server, it's no longer in the kernel. So I need to run this line of code. There we go. So now I should be able to use that HTML. Okay, and press play. Okay, cool. It doesn't display anything yet, but hopefully people will see what I mean by testing frequently. I catch the errors earlier on. Okay, so we got an unordered list. It's an empty. Let's go ahead and put some list items in it. Okay, so the list item tag, you can use LI, which stands for list item. So there we go. There's one list item, and I'll just render it. You see, it's empty because there's nothing between it. So let me put something in it. You can put whatever you want. I think the feedback cell down here has a lot of flexibility. So you could put something like wake up, right? And then next one, we could put another item. So li, say wake up, brush teeth, and then finally another list item. Let's see, brush teeth, what else? What do you do after brushing teeth? Probably eat breakfast? I don't know, just whatever order people do it in. Eat breakfast. Okay, there we go. Let me go press play. And there we go. There's our unordered list of 3 items. Let me test the feedback thing. So let me press play here. And there we go. All tests passed. All right. Next up, we want to write a table with some data elements in it. In this case, this table is going to have a header. A header is just treated a little differently. Basically, it bolds the text, and then it'll do some centering. And then underneath that, these are actual data, table data elements. So yeah, let's go ahead and get this. Okay, so I'm going to create another, I'm going to eat my HTML. I'm going to override this. Okay, use the same variable. Okay, this is a table. You can look at the previous lesson. The tag for it is, yeah, it's just table. Table, there we go. So there it is. Let me go ahead and set up the display function. Okay. There you go. Let me just make sure. Okay, cool. I just press play. Yeah, we're good. If anything, this table has 2 rows. All right, let me work on the first row first. So first row, remember a row is represented by TR, right, for table row. Okay, so there we go. And then inside of it, this very first row has 2 headers. Right, this is like it's like data, but it's not really data. It's like a title. So the way we can represent a header cell is with a TH, right, which stands for table header. So here you go. I'm going to set up 2 table headers. And then there is flexibility for whatever you want in here. So I'm just going to put in some stuff like from a couple of days ago, we did something with a name and age, right? Like we're collecting data from people. So in this case, let me press play here. All right, so you can do whatever. In this case, imagine we're storing other people's data. Okay, so let me add another row. We got this first row. Let me add another one. Hit TR, TR, there you go. And then inside of it, there's going to be 2 data elements. Right, you see here, there's 2 items. So we could represent table data elements with TD. TD, and then /TD. Okay, TD, there we go. And let me go ahead and fill it in. So here I'm just going to put a random word, Alice, and then maybe age is like 25. Okay, doesn't matter too much. So then press play, and then there we go. Here is our table. And we have a header, and then the data here. Just 2 rows. You don't have to worry about this horizontal line right here. It doesn't have to look too exact. If anything, this is a different version. It's not really an HTML one. Okay, let me test the feedback cell. Boom, boom. Okay, sweet. All test pass. All right, finally, we're gonna do a hyperlink. Right? This is making text clickable. So you might remember from last week that the tag for that is called A, right? Just right here, A. I'm not sure why they decided to call it A, but if you wanted to, here, you know, I'm gonna look it up. I'm just gonna look at the documentation real quick. So this is the lesson. I'm just curious why they call it A. HTML elements. Then let's see, where is it? Attributes, headings. links. Okay, so just a, I'm not sure why they call it a. Okay, I'll just take it for granted now. Well, yeah, this is pretty much the syntax for the hyperlink, right? We got the opening tag right here, and then a closing tag right there. And then within it is text that will be clickable. It's going to be clickable. It's going to lead us to this attribute right here. Okay, so let's get that. Okay, so inside of this opening tag, we need to reference the hyperlink. So href is equal to some HTML string. So I put another set of quotes here, and then pretty much you can put a URL, right, a website, and then inside of the body right here is going to be text that would be clickable. So I'm just going to hard code my website, and then let me test this. So press play and play. And oh, okay, it looks like I got an error. Let's see. List index out of range. Okay, so you know what? This is actually not a really helpful error message. Sometimes the feedback cell will error out and not give a helpful feedback. If folks are curious what's happening, it's probably because I didn't print it. It's probably because I didn't display it, and the testing cell relies on the display. So let me go ahead and display it. HTML, and display. Okay, there you go, my website. And then all tests passed. Yeah. Yeah, so please let me know if the errors are really hard to read. But hopefully sometimes it's helpful. Okay. This whole time we've been hard coding data into the code, right? Like this hyperlink, we're technically hard coding this and this text right here. Right? Same with everything above. Right? This table is hard coded because Alice right here just appears inside of the code. Right? So we're finally going to combine some concepts. Right? In particular, we're going to be doing dynamic HTML, right? Meaning elements inside of the HTML code can possibly change. This means we're going to be using HTML with variables. Right? We're going to be inserting variables in HTML strings. And one way we can do that is with an f string. Right? We can also use a format function too. Right? This is stuff from last week, by the way. So you might have to refer to last week's stuff. But yeah, there's a couple ways we can do the same exact thing. Like, let's say I were to make a my HTML, right? So this one right here is pretty much asking us to first set a string variable. So I'm going to go ahead and declare a string variable called my text. So my text equal to something, right? It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just going to say hello world. Right, so there you go. I declared that variable, and then next I'm going to create a f string that can possibly be different. So it's going to look a little different from up here, but I'm going to pretend I'm making another string called my HTML. Okay, I'll make it multi-line, and then put an F before this triple quotes. Right? This is going to make everything inside an F string, meaning we can interpolate some variables. For example, let me put bold here. Right, this is plain text, and then I'm gonna hard code this B here, or not really hard code, but I'm gonna put something in here, right? Meaning that whatever is interpolated into this curly braces will end up being bolded. All right, in this case, I'm going to put my text. All right, so this is not hard coded. Well, technically this is hard coded because I set my text equal to hello world. But in the future, you'll see that strings are typically set from a different source. Right? Like it'll download strings from somewhere else, like from standard input, from the internet, from anywhere. Okay, let me go ahead and test this. So let me HTML. Okay, let me test this. And okay, bold hello world. Right, this is the same thing as above here. The same thing. I just stored it into a string instead. Okay, let me ask the feedback. All tests pass. Cool. Okay. There is another way of accomplishing the same exact thing. It's called using the format function. Uh, People would probably use this before Python 3.0. We're on Python 3 point something. But before that, Python 2 point something, they didn't have access to f strings. So another way, an older way people would do this, I'm just going to copy this whole thing. So I'm just going to copy this and kind of change a few things. Another way you can do it is by not using an f string, right? Meaning you can remove this f here, and inside of the string, leave this empty. Right? So inside of this curly braces is now empty. You might remember from last week that there's a format function. Right? This is a string, and it has access to a format function. Like we could say dot format, and then put an argument in here, right, or an input. And in this case, if I put my text, right, my text will be put into these curly braces hole. So let me go ahead and test it. Yeah, see, same thing. Right, this is just stuff from last week, the quotes and formatting. Once again, I do prefer the F string just because it's a more modern syntax and it's arguably a little easier to write in code. But yeah, this is different right here. So okay, finally, this is gonna be a little more applicable to especially the next assignment. I'll go over the next assignment in just a bit, but this final one in the lab is asking us to create a table. And instead of hard coding the table, let's try to use these variables here. There are some predefined variables. Let's see if we can insert these into an HTML string. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and press play here. This way I can load these variables in. And then now our next cell should have access to these above. Okay, so I'll create an HTML string. I'm going to use a f string here. Use an f string. Okay, so we want to create a table, right? So let me go table. Okay, table there. And then 2 rows. So I'll set those rows up. TR, R. Okay, and then inside of the first row is a header, right? And a header uses the tag TH. Okay, TH right there. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to set 2 of them up. Okay, folks are wondering what I'm doing. I'm representing these first 2 cells. Okay, so inside of here, instead of hard coding course, right, and then the name, right, we can just interpolate these predefined variables into it. So here, we can just use h1, right, that's the name of this variable, and here name, we can use h2. Right? It might seem weird, but it's going to make sense for the next assignment. Okay, so let me go ahead and test this real quick. This should only print out 1 row. Okay, my HTML. All right, make sure you're always testing frequently. Okay, so okay, cool. So we got the first row. Let's get the second one. All right, so this is the first one. And after here, I'm going to add another one. TR, TR. Okay, cool. There we go. And inside of it, two data elements, TD. Okay. People kind of seeing the style that I'm typing in, kind of setting up the skeleton, and then filling it up later. So let me go ahead and fill it up. This is B1. This is the variable that we have. It stands for body. Body 1, and then here body 2. The name doesn't matter, it was defined as these names. All right, press play, and there we go. Looks good. Yeah. Ask feedback. Okay, cool. All tests pass. Okay, any questions about this stuff so far? We just finished the lab L09. Okay, cool stuff, right? Well, let's jump into the last piece of today. So we are done with this lab. I'm gonna save it. Let's move on to some hints for this HTML weather. Okay. I'm going to first download it from the Canvas assignments. Canvas assignments, right over here. HTML weather. Okay, let's go ahead and download it. And then upload it. I'm going to create a directory for this actually. In the future assignment, you'll see a project that might require multiple folders. So that's why I'm creating a folder for each of these. Week 4 HTML weather. Okay. And paste it into here. Boom. All right. There it is. It's pretty much the same notebook as the previous one. The previous one, for folks who did it already, was called Weather. Right? And in that one, we just downloaded data from a website, an API actually, and then formatted it to look nice. So that's pretty much what we're doing in HTML Weather, right? But instead of print statements, we're going to be displaying an HTML string. So yeah, the whole point of this notebook here is to organize data into a table that might look like this right here. This is a sample table, right? You can imagine yourself creating and filling in the cells with certain elements from a dictionary, right? Like, part of this assignment will provide us with a dictionary. So it's going to be your job to, insert dictionary elements into here. So it's going to be very similar to the previous one. Okay, I hope that makes sense so far. There is an image right here. We'll talk about this image later. Okay. Cool, cool. All right. Oh, wait, did I run this first cell yet? Oh, yeah, let me run this first cell. This will allow you to get feedback. Okay. Once again, this code cell, you don't have to worry about it too much, but just take it for granted that it sets us up to download weather data. So we'll actually learn about this next week, by the way. This is called a function. It's going to make sense next week. So let me press play here. All right, in short, all we did was load into the kernel a function. Right? We actually didn't execute any of these yet. Right? None of these got run yet. These are statements. Right? These are pretty much statements that download data from the internet. Right? But it hasn't run yet. Right? I know we pressed the play button, but it didn't. Right? All we did was defined it. We defined a way to download data. The bottom cell below here. Oh, hold up. I need to. Oh yeah, no, my bad. This bottom cell actually executes the function. So this next cell is kind of just showing us how to use the function. So this highlighted line right here, this is called invoking, by the way. I'll talk about this next week. This is invoking the function, right? Invoking the get weather function. Invoke is a fancy word of saying run. Right? So it's saying, hey, run this function here. So this line is actually executing all of these right here. So these are finally being downloaded. Okay. And then when the function finishes, it'll return a dictionary. So what I just highlighted, this literally becomes a dictionary. And it'll get assigned to this variable weather. So weather becomes a dictionary. All right. And yeah, just as a quick sneak peek, a function, you can think of it as a black box. Let me look at the wiki real quick. Black box. You can think of it like this right here. So the get weather function over here, or think of this as a black box. It's not really black because you can see everything inside of it, but over here you can't see the inside of it. Right? It's up there. So you can think of it as it takes input and then returns some value, right? Output. So in this case, the function get weather is taking two inputs, the latitude and longitude, and then it'll return a dictionary. Right? That's what it's doing. So right here, the inputs are these latitude and longitude, and then the output will get thrown into this left area right here, this weather, right? Okay, so that's that's kind of going on a tangent, but I did want to mention what a function is. Okay, let's go ahead and go down. So yeah, this cell just kind of shows an example on how you can get started. If anything, this example might help a bit, but not really too much because it's not really using a table. The point of this example is really to show that you can interpolate variables into an HTML string. Right? We did that in the previous lab, so this is going to be very similar. So weather title, right? This is going to access the current value. So I'll press play right now. Right, the weather is currently hazy, which yeah, I'm looking out the window right now. And yeah, it's kind of hazy. So yeah, folks should know what weather title is from if you did the last programming project. Right? If you're not sure, you can scroll up and it shows us what things here are. Right, the title gives us the title of the weather condition, right? Current weather condition. Okay, and if you wanted to help visualize this dictionary, you can make another cell. Right, so I'm just going to make another cell right here. So down here, I just press plus to add another cell, and then this way you can visualize a dictionary, right? Like if I were to print the dictionary weather, right, it's going to be a little unformatted because the print doesn't know how to print it. So I'm actually going to rely on Jupyter Notebook showing us the result, showing us the value of this last run. Okay, there we go. Cool. So that's what our weather looks like, right? Title is haze. Okay. Cool. Any questions about this so far? All right. So once again, this is just an example. It might help you get started. But the whole point is really to create a table. So this table is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 rows. Right. Okay. I think there will be some stuff that's hard coded though. Like, like imagine you're doing the table. This won't be hard coded, right? Rain, but rain. This is a value that can come from the dictionary, so this will not be hard coded. And then this icon, this picture will not be hard coded either. The icon image is actually located in the dictionary. It's actually over here. So inside of the weather dictionary, the icon gives us a URL to this right here. So I'll press that. All right. See, this is the icon for the current weather condition, hazy. So yeah, you might have to look at the previous notebook to see that. And then what else? Temperature, you'll probably end up hard coding this because it's a literal string. 47 degrees Fahrenheit, this would not be hard coded. You're going to be calculating this from a value in the dictionary. Let's see, hi, this text will be hard coded. Then this won't be hard coded. Are people kind of seeing what's going on here? All right, 7-day forecast. This literal text will be in your table, but these will come from the dictionary. So you know what? Here, I hope folks get started on this. Maybe I hope folks with a skeleton at least. Okay, so let's get folks started with a skeleton. I do want to give a warning that this feedback cell down here might not be accurate. I tried my best to write it and have it be as accurate as possible, but it's really all this testing cell is really doing is searching for certain things in your string. So if people get a little fancy, there is a chance that the feedback will give incorrect things. So yeah, please let me know if it does. Anyways, if you take a look at the requirements, please make sure to take a close look at it. This is pretty much what the feedback will look for. Right? Number one, put the HTML in a variable called myHTML. So let me go ahead and create a HTML string variable, myHTML. Okay. All right, let me create that variable. Okay, myHTML. I'm just going to set it up to be a multi-line string. There we go. And you know, we will be printing it, right? And I'm going to create this HTML and then display it. Right? It's going to be a good idea to test frequently. Whenever you add a new row in the table, you might want to display it to make sure it's fine. So I'm just going to make sure there's no errors here. Okay, cool. I just ran it. There's no errors. It's an empty thing. I can go ahead and test for feedback. Yeah, and then the feedback says, oh, I couldn't find an opening table tag. Yeah, so that's just, it's really minimal. It's just checking to see we're on the right track. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get the table tag in because, yeah, that's the whole point of the assignment. All right, there we go. There's our table. And let me press play to make sure it's good. Right, okay, it is displaying a table, right? That there is an invisible table here. It's just size 0. Right, so you'll see the thing here, feedback. It no longer says, oh, I couldn't find table. And now it says, oh, I found 0 rows. So let's go ahead and set up some rows. Let me see. Let me see which row I should help folks out with. I'll probably help folks out with the first row because this is the harder one, mainly because it has an image on the right. So here, I'll help folks out with this. So on the left here, this is the weather title. Right? This is the current condition. And then here, this is the weather icon. So let's go and get that set up. Okay, scrolling down. Our first row tr, table row, will have two data elements, right? td, td, and td. Okay, in the first cell, it's going to be the current weather condition. And if you did the last assignment, you might remember that that's in the weather title, right? So, oh, I forgot to make this an f string. So let me prefix this string with an f. The reason why is so I can put I could put it in here. Right? So I'm gonna put curly braces and then weather title, right? Because this will give us the current condition. So let me go ahead and test it. Let me test this first cell. Okay, yeah, there we go, right? It's printing haze. This is for the first cell. And then now the next cell over, right? This is gonna have to be some sort of picture. In particular, it's going to be the picture that links here. All right, so you can click this. It's going to lead it there. All right, and you can look at the previous lesson to see the syntax for it. An image. So let me look at it. A couple days ago, we did an image somewhere here. Yeah, right here. This is the syntax for an image. It doesn't have a closing tag. It's kind of one of those special HTML tags. The reason why you don't really need a closing tag is because it doesn't make sense to put something between an image. So let's go ahead and get this. It's a tag image, and then source is equal to some HTML string. Okay, so let's get that. Okay. So yeah, inside of this cell is going to be a picture. That's going to be a picture. Let me put these curly braces. Right. Oh wait, no curly braces yet. Inside of the cell, there's going to be an image tag. So the image, but then the attribute or the source is going to be equal to some string. Right, that's the syntax for an image. And now we just have to insert the URL into these double quotes. So the URL, you can grab it from icon, right here. The icon, the weather. So inside of these double quotes, I can interpolate the variable, right? So these curly braces, I can go ahead and get weather, and then icon. Okay, now let's test it. And yeah, there we go. Right, there is a table. It has two cells in the first row. All right. Okay, hope that gets folks started with it. So yeah, we just did the first row right here. So we got the title and then the icon, and then now folks just have to do the other pieces, right? The temperature. Make sure you convert it to Fahrenheit. It's literally the same as the previous assignment, and then all these other stuff. As for the 7-day forecast, note that all of these are in the same cell. Right? So please don't make another cell for all of these 7 days. But basically, you can use something called line breaks. So in the previous assignment, previous lecture, you can just use this right here, BR. This will let you put an end line at the end of something. So this way you can put multiple things on one line. I mean, one cell. Okay. Did I do an example of that? Let me see. I think I did do an example of that. Oh yeah. So yeah, previously over here in the lesson, you might remember that some people might have a different alias. Like Bob could be referred to as Robert and Bobby. But here we inserted 3 things into one cell. And how we did that was by using line breaks. So this thing that I highlighted, All right, so Bob, line break. Right? BR is like a new line. And then Robert, and then line break. And then finally Bobby. Right? This is how we put multiple things on one cell. Okay, I hope that gives folks a good head start. Okay, let me check where we're at. Okay, let me see. Yeah, it's gonna be a really short day. I think that's pretty much it. Next week will be a little more dense. It's gonna be covering functions. I'm expecting it to be a full schedule, full day. I mean, full 2 hours. Okay. Let's see. And then a few more weeks, we'll have a midterm. We'll talk about the midterm after the function. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.